Now, I'm not gonna introduce Minecraft. It's the game. The game of all time, literally. The best-selling one. The Swedish Dirt game has a lead on GTA 5, and it's not even close. Okay, well, it's a little close in, like, the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot. It's a big lead. This game went from a little underdog indie game to the biggest game ever over the course of a decade and a half. And during that decade and a half, a lot of other games have come out trying to compete with the titan that is Minecraft. But for some reason, when it comes to existing in the same genre as Minecraft, the best thing you can hope for is coexisting in the shadow of the titan. You just cannot beat this titan. And if you are gunning for its spot, history has shown, just seems like you're gonna lose. There's been about a billion Minecraft ripoffs that have existed since the dawn of time, just slamming random words together that sound Minecrafty. Although this trend has slowed down considerably since the advent of Bedrock, but they are still out there. I mean, we got shit like Minebuild Worldcraft Survival, which is a name so egregious I thought it was a joke, but no, that's really its name. Obviously, I won't be able to cover everything in this video, but I'll be looking at games that tried to ape Minecraft and still carved out its own niche, basically by accident, and games that tried to do its own thing. Some have failed, some have succeeded. Like, yes, I could talk about the small but dedicated fandom that I know games like Blockcraft 3D have for some demonic reason, but I don't wanna because I've literally never heard of this until writing this script. But despite that, I can already tell there's some die-hard Blockcraft 3D warriors out there, so consider this your grand shout-out that you deserve. Anywho, let's start out with some of the games that were just meant to confuse dumb babies, so they'll look at it and go, oh, this is Minecraft, right? Yeah, let's go. Let's start off with the game that I know the most about from my own experience playing it, that I already talked about in a previous video, that game being Castleminer Z. A game made for the Xbox 360 indie store before Minecraft would come to consoles, and was just made to grab the attention of dumb little babies, but attention it did grab. Castleminer Z first started off as Castleminer, released in July of 2011, as an Xbox indie Minecraft clone among a sea of others, but then just a few months later, it would be given a sequel called Castleminer Z, with less of a focus on being a Minecraft clone and more of a focus of being just a mess of ideas that caught the right people's attention. Because, I mean, just look at the gameplay, dude. This game allows you to play as your Xbox avatar and allows you to blow up dragons with alien weapons and anti-dragon rockets. Can't do that in Minecraft. The critics were none too thrilled with this game, saying it was a cash grab and was ugly, and yeah, they were 100% right. Listen, I like this game for some reason. I really do. But to say the guy who made this made it with anything else less than a lust for gold and power is just wrong. This has to be the definition of jumping on a bandwagon. And yeah, I think Minecraft is just a lot better looking than this, no offense, digital DNA. Although it didn't seem to matter to most people that the critics didn't like Castleminer Z. I mean, what do critics know? The people, the masses, kinda adored this game for what it was. Hell, I know people who say that at its release, it was better than Minecraft was at the time. Still, I don't know if I believe you, but sure, why not? It was a big fish in the smallest pond possible. The best Minecraft ripoff in a place that didn't have Minecraft yet. Anyway, here's some of the highlights of what I had to say about it in my Xbox video. Now, for the uninformed, Castleminer Z was a Minecraft rip that came out on the Steve box before Minecraft actually left PC to come to the Z box for itself. But instead of playing as Steve, you played as your Steve, and there was a whole Steve invasion going on 24/7, no matter what, rather than a few Steve banging down your door at night. There was also, most notably, a lot of Steve. Castleminer Z's biggest claim to fame was the Steve, yeah. I mean, without mods, Steve ain't got no gat now, does he? The game itself feels like a late night, early 2010s gaming session. The sun approaching you as you can't tell if that little thing you saw out of the corner of your eye was an actual goblin or something else. This game being the goblin in question. Even the Steam. So with all of that, what's the legacy of Castleminer Z? Well, you can still play it on Steam, and it still has a bit of an active player base. The sheer jury-rigged nature of this game has kept people coming back for more than just a nostalgia trip. Although that's probably still half the reason why people play it. Digital DNA also showed back up in 2024 for some reason and announced they were remaking the game in Unreal Engine with better gameplay, better graphics, and yeah, it still just kind of looks like Castleminer Z but with better lighting, but what more could you ask for? Well, you could ask them to not use use AI, but I'm not sure if they'll listen to you. Yeah, of course, a bunch of old heads who used to make Xbox indie ripoff games would go ahead and use AI, despite the anti-AI outcry by fans, but apparently these are placeholders. If they get enough money, because their music contact made stuff for, like, the Avengers movies, apparently. So they are so expensive that they can currently not afford them, which, sure, I don't know if I believe you, but I'm not gonna say you're lying either. But have you just considered that maybe, just maybe, Castleminer Z isn't an Avengers level threat, and get someone cheaper, maybe? Ever heard of Fiverr, dude? But speaking of soullessness, we have our next Minecraft ripoff, which actually isn't soulless at all. It just appears to be at first glance. I almost completely forgot about it till I saw people talking about it recently, and that one is the big fish in the small mobile pond survival craft. Sincerely, this game looks like one of the most unabashed Minecraft ripoffs ever made to just get the attention of little babies. But no, really, it's not. So let me explain how that's not a total lie. This was released all the way back in 2011 as well, and well, it at first glances appears to just be a Minecraft clone with a boat in the background. Big, I know. This game's main claim to fame was that just like every kid in the early 2010s downloaded it thinking that it would just be Minecraft. This game is iconic against our wills. I never played Castleminer Z in its heyday, but even I downloaded this onto like my dad's phone and got sad when it just wasn't Minecraft. Listen, when you're a kid, you just kind of assume stuff like this will work out for you. Stars and marshmallows and Lucky Charms are exactly the same, so 2 + 2 equals survival craft should be no different than Minecraft, but unfortunately, for little baby Snowy City, that was not the case. Survival craft is still being worked on and has a sequel, so when I talk about these two, assume I'm discussing both of them in a general sense. These games' shtick is that it's largely more focused on survival rather than being a magical adventure you go on like in Minecraft. No Ender Dragon, no other dimensions, nope, this is a survival game. And survival is in the title for a reason. You need to eat, you need to sleep, there's even some illness. You even need to worry about your body temp, and what you wear dictates that. There's even differences between the sexes that you can play as, which is, something. You'll be fighting animals for food and stuff more than magical creatures like werewolves. No zombie pigments, no, you're fighting fucking wild boars, along with stingrays and lions. Unlike in Minecraft, you also have stats that you have to level up, and also, unlike in Minecraft, you can get a gun in this game too, although no lasers this time, it's just a musket. I think it's pretty interesting to note that the creator of Survival Craft always wanted the game to not be a Minecraft ripoff, always intending it to be more survival rather than being a clone of Minecraft. The people, though, demanded him to align it more with Minecraft to make it just more of a ripoff, although he didn't, which is good, because in the long run, if he did just make it into a Minecraft ripoff, I don't think anyone would remember it, nor would people still be playing it. Survival Craft's biggest get, in my professional opinion, is the furniture. It's not just that you can build chairs and, I don't know, Davenports with crafting recipes. No, see, you build whatever, literally whatever you like within a reasonable size, and then with a tool you can shrink it down to block size and have duplicates of it. These furnitures are completely customized items. This opens the gateway to possibly more detailed builds than you could ever make in Minecraft, at least in the small detailed sense. Yeah, maybe you can build a working computer that can actually run software in Minecraft with redstone, but you can build a nice end table in this one. Ooh. This game also has community creations where you can download other people's furniture and other custom stuff like skins. Like I said, this game has a whole little community, which according to the official YouTube channel is still kicking. Look, they're even adding weather effects and season cycles, and they look really nice. Really annoyed this game is stuck on mobile. I'd actually like to play this every now and then on Steam. And just look at this. This is a vibe. But you know what is on Steam? Our next game, Pixel Gun 3D. Now, I know what you're gonna say. This one is so different from Minecraft. And yes, it definitely is, but it was also definitely made, originally at least, to catch the eye of little babies and go, Minecraft Steve, but with guns? A continuing trend so far. I saw this game like once when I was younger and completely ignored it. And then, like, one day a year ago, video, I turn around and apparently, while I wasn't looking, the game carved out the biggest fandom of anything I've talked about so far, if not the biggest in this entire video. This is like a well-known game. It's not some obscure, weird, almost Minecraft like the last two games. Not at all. This game has like 10 billion game modes, 10 trillion guns, and I don't have a lot to say about it because it's just an online FPS that tried to look like Minecraft but then grew into its own. I mean, hey, it's got an actual story, which is weird. Oh man, the world gets turned into blocks and monsters appear, and then John Gun 3D gets Sword Art Online or something. My condolences. Really, all of my research on this game has led me to find that it seems the general consensus is that Pixel Gun 3D is in trouble. The reviews on Steam are saying the monetization has gone completely out of whack. It's now pay to win. The top video that pops up when you look up the game are just negative. You can check the Steam charts and it's not looking good, but I'm an outsider looking into all of this, and this could easily be all fairly trumped up. Video game online communities often think they are a lot more powerful than they are, and that they have a lot more sway than they do. I mean, a couple years ago, the TF2 community, for some reason, thought they could really remove random crits for some unknown reason. I don't know what gave them that confidence boost. Anyway, these Steam charts don't account for the other versions of the game, and a lot of this seems to be, oh, remember the old days, remember when you were 7, play game now you have job and haven't played game, only Fortnite because the masses demand you play Fortnite and not Pixel Gun 3D. Gaming is so not fun anymore kind of content, which is never a good sign and should never be taken as a official state of the game. So let me just cast some healthy doubt on everything as bad as these people are saying, but who knows, maybe these guys are all right. I do believe that it's probably pay to win now. I mean, just look at this shit. Of course it is. Now, we talked about 3 games, about 3.5 if you count that shout out at the beginning of the video. Now, these games are all sort of Minecraft ripoffs in one way or another, whether it's aping the style or the gameplay itself, or just the name. Even though I went to bat for Survival Craft, the name is definitely meant to catch the Minecraft players' eyes, just as the general art style of Pixel Gun 3D was definitely meant to catch the eyes of the little Minecraft babies. But what about the games that just from the get-go are like, no, I'm different, I'm Minecraft, but I'm not? What about them? Some of them were failures, some of them were massive successes, and others lie in between. So, what were they? Okay, starting off with the heavy hitter, we have Cube World. Back in 2013, Cube World came out and it was a hit. I need to say this, that I think the craziest thing about the game was it was as big as it was. Sure, Minecraft was sweeping the world at the time, but it was also new and unprecedented and a phenomenon. So people were kind of waiting for a rival to spring up. I remember at the time people were saying Terraria was the big rival to Minecraft, but that was just like little baby piss fights because game have blocked. So people were waiting for Minecraft to have its, rival. It's Digimon to its Pokemon, And then comes along Cube World, and it made a big impact and had a considerable amount of momentum behind it. And not an insignificant amount of people were claiming that when it dropped, it was better than Minecraft. And at the very least, people were saying that it definitely could come to rival the big game. I remember watching YouTubers who made Minecraft videos almost exclusively start making Cube World videos, thinking, oh shit, Minecraft really has competition now, and I was going to be firmly staying in the Minecraft camp, hating on Cube World because kids have more tribalism about random shit than soccer fans who burn down their own cities when they win. So what was Cube World like? Well, it was more of an action RPG than anything else, but it was cubish, so, shit's basically gotta be Minecraft, right? If anything, it was closer to 3D Terraria than it was Minecraft. In fact, the creator of Wolfram von Funk, who I assume I'm pronouncing that last name correctly, if not, sorry, but you sound like a villain. I'm gonna enter your castle, you're gonna be playing a pipe organ menacingly. Anyway, they said that the game was inspired by series like Zelda and Warcraft with a voxel-based spin on the whole shebang. It was a refreshing change of pace to a lot of people. Minecraft at this time was only now getting stuff like nether quartz and horses. Minecraft was great, but it wasn't in its flip the table and change everything every update era that would come later on. Things moved a lot slower back then, and then this game comes out with different enemies, unique NPCs, weapons, combat, voxel-based graphics rather than cubes, dungeons, etc. It was turning heads and catching Kingdom Hearts. For all its popularity and hype as the big Minecraft rival, it was only in a pre-release state that you could download off the dev's website. Updates would eventually slow to a crawl for various reasons, such as a DDoS attack on the website that led to spirals of doubt and anxiety about the game, and meeting the standards the people had set for the poor thing. Over time, the game faded from public consciousness after a while, the game going from so much hype to, oh, remember that game that was like Minecraft and Zelda or whatever? There'd be no updates for years, till one day Funk came back with updates and told everyone that the game was back on. Hype had returned and it was like a switch flipped and everyone suddenly remembered the game that had so much promise from so many years ago. Then Cube World would finally release in 2019 and everyone hated it. Yeah, I feel really bad for the creator, so worried that the game wouldn't be good enough, and it stalled it for years, only for it to finally come out, and that was the reality. So many changes were made that the general public considered it just worse than the alpha release of the game, leaving this little indie darling to mixed and often mostly negative reviews on Steam. It has a small, dedicated group of fans that say it's way better than people think, but who knows, that's in the eye of the beholder. Not all hope is lost for the Cubed Worlds, as Funk is working on a successor of sorts called Cube World Omega, and the remaining Cube World fans seem to be hopeful, but last update we got on that was on Funk's Twitter, and that was a year ago, so who knows. Speaking of voxel-based graphics and RPGs, we have our next game, Trove, an MMORPG Minecraft-ish game that was revealed all the way back in 2012, but wouldn't come out on consoles till 2016, because like Tryon Worlds was making it, and they had their handfuls at the time. Anybody remember Defiance? Made a whole TV show that got 3 seasons, and nobody seems to remember this. Not many MMOs can say that they had a promotional TV show. I only remember it because of that cross promo they did with the show Face Off, and I'm probably the only person who remembers that episode. Trove seems to be Tryon World's main moneymaker these days, what with Rift being like the only other thing on their website, and well, that got a death of the game like 6 years ago. And I mean, he must be infallible, I assume. He was right about Amazon games, so... Anyway, Trove seems to like only have a player base of people who specifically played it when they were preteens when it first came out, and it still maintains a dedicated fan base to this day, but it seems its golden age has long since passed. You can pick from a number of classes, go on quests, complete dungeons. There was even a whole real story, which is more than can be said for Cube World. I have a little bit of experience with Trove. I didn't play it for very long, but I did play it for a hot minute. My editor, on the other hand, has plenty of experience, so let's give it to him to explain what the Trove experience.
What's up, Snation? It's me, the editor, here to tell you, yes you, about what it was like to experience the legendary Trove saga, and what it was like to have to fight off all the Truz. Now, I haven't played Trove since I was in, like, I don't know, fucking middle school. But for what I can remember, basically, all you did was just, like, run around the woods all day, and you go in these little tiny ass dungeons, fight off little greebles and goblins and ghouls, and you just collect, like, just a bunch of random loot that you didn't really want ever. None of it ever felt useful, and it was all kind of ugly, if I'm not gonna lie. And I remember one time they had an update where the world used to be comprised of like a Minecraft world where it'd be full of like a bunch of biomes in a singular place. You just continuously walk forward. And one day they did an update where they undid that and they separated all the little biomes, like the candy world and the neon city, into like their own like worlds you had to go to from a big portal in the start area. And that like really pissed me off. I don't know why I was so mad about that. It was a very strange thing for me to be mad about, but I fucking hated it, dude. And then also there were the dragons. The dragons, as far as I remember, like the main thing everyone wanted, beside the Shadow Tower, but the Shadow Tower is scary. The dragons everyone wanted. You had to grind your like hell for the dragons, and I did that because you were supposed to basically shell out money for the dragons, is what you were supposed to do, what they intended you to do. Not me though. I grinded my way all the way up. I had to get like this dragon. He was like old and he had like holes in his wings and a long wise beard, and it took me, I think, literal months to do it, and I felt so accomplished when I did it. Then I basically immediately stopped playing Trove because there was nothing else to do, really, because I didn't have any friends that played Trove, only Sea of Thieves.
Riveting. genius, honestly. Seriously though, at its core, Trove is really just a loot-based MMORPG where you can just also happen to build a house Minecraft style. This shit even got a shadow tower where you can fight a god. Trove is doing fine overall for what it is on Steam, but that doesn't account for the swath of people who play it on console. And it released on like all of them. Shit even got released on Nintendo Switch back in 2021. And like any good MMORPG, it seems that fans are at odds with the devs and are generally displeased with the current state of affairs. Many such cases. Welcome to the club. So we have a voxel-based sandbox Minecraft-ish game that failed and one that succeeded. What else is there? Well, there's fucking Akira Toriyama. Yeah, Dragon Quest, one of the single most important video game series to ever come out, highlighted with the artwork of the GOAT Akira Toriyama, it being one of the founding fathers of the JRPG. For some reason, back in 2016, decided it needed to make a Minecraft clone. I don't know what Square Enix was thinking, but they did it again in 2018. This is Dragon Quest Builders 1 and 2. These games are not only block-based construction games, but also just straight real Dragon Quest games. They're RPGs with stories and combat that just also are Minecraft. Builders 1 is set in the future of an evil ending for Dragon Quest 1, where the hero joins the villain and the world is destroyed, and you must arise to save the day because the hero never did in this timeline. And Builders 2 also has a real story as well. All of this just for Minecraft Dragon Quest. I'm not mad at all, I'm just befuddled. The more and more you look at Dragon Quest Builders, the more and more it comes across as just another Dragon Quest game that happens to be Minecraft. Other than the fact that it isn't turn-based, there really is no difference between this and any other Dragon Quest. You know, for some reason, taking Minecraft and turning it into an RPG of any kind seems to be something that the fabric of reality itself is attempting to force into our world, seeing as it's what everyone does, whether that be game devs or just modders. Mojang would rather make Minecraft Legends, a game no one has ever played, instead of an RPG. These games do have pretty good reviews, so I wouldn't be shocked if we got a third one in the future. I've never really played them because, you know, I've never played Dragon Quest because I don't really play JRPGs because Bethesda. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about these next three altogether. This is HYTALE, Vintage Story, and Valorine. These games aren't the same at all, but it feels appropriate to group them together. Also, I'm in charge, so what I say goes. Let's start with HYTALE. HYTALE is funny. All the way back in 2015, some people behind the famous Minecraft server Hypixel, known for its 10 billion trillion minigames, decided they would make their own Minecraft with their own minigames integrated into the game. So they set off to do that with, weirdly enough, funding from Riot Games, who later outright bought the studio. It has won many awards over the years, the awards being the Most Anticipated Game of the Year award. And yeah, it's been 10 years since development started, and the last big update was in mid-2024, and it was them saying they were now switching engines. So yeah, I guess that's what you get for using League of Legends money to fund your game instead of a more ethical source of cash, like drug cartels or cocoa plantations. Now we have Vintage Story, which is like Minecraft, but everything needs to be done realistically and from the ground up. You ain't just gonna be chopping down a tree with your fists to get wood, nah. This is the Stone Age. Go make a flint axe with a stick and a rock you find on the ground and get to work. You wanna learn metallurgy? You aren't using a furnace that you cook food in, nah. You need to build a crucible, you know, that sort of thing. That's basically the entire game. Vintage Story came out a while ago, and people love it, but it seems all of a sudden it's got a ton of new shooters, but hey, whatever. The website says no extra fees, no microtransactions, no NFTs, no nothing. And yeah, I know it's a big part of their shtick that they sell it directly off their website, but if the game was on Steam, it'd be way bigger. And I know every Vintage Story fan is like, you know, gripping their desk furiously that I said that because they've heard it a million other times, but it's true. Hey, to each their own. And finally, we have Valorine. And I'll just repeat what I've seen many of its own fans say. This is basically just Cube World 2. So really, this is the first Minecraft competitor. Ooh. This one is community driven and has a pretty good fan base in terms of size, although I don't hear about it a lot, which is weird. Maybe when Cube World Omega comes out, fly or fail, it'll boost Valorine in the process. There's been so many attempts to rip off Minecraft over the years, so many good games inspired by it or made to compete with it. So many have failed, so many have carved out their own niche, but at the end of the day, there's one thing that remains. That the arcade version of Minecraft Dungeons is Golden Axe. Minecraft Dungeons is like Diablo, right? But the arcade version that nobody talks about is a clone of Golden Axe for the Sega Genesis. I played that one at the Great Escape and Lodge in Lake George, New York, and no one talks about it. Anyway, this video is done. Follow my art socials for art. Commission me if you want me to draw your random OC. Okay, bye-bye.